Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. It is I am the one and only Sonic the Hedgehog here, aka the Blue Blur, aka Blue Justice, and I'm from the likes of the Maxi Toys videos once again. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of Sonic Frontiers for the PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X/S, PC Steam, and finally the Nintendo Switch. So last time we've essentially did manage able to begun exploring through the forms of the third island in the game, known as Chaos Island, and overall, despite the fact that we haven't got a single Chaos Emerald yet, that's just because about the fact that I somehow got distracted by the forms of not only for its entire huge emphasis on exploration, but also about the fact I need to able to complete certain challenges before I'm able to actually fill up the entire map. In addition to that, though, is about the fact that I can able to actually just to see what's going to be up next during the forms of the entire island itself. And as I mentioned this before, assuming of course if I do manage to complete all of the challenges, then obviously I will be able to unlock the fast travels during the forms of the cyberspace transporters as far as this is concerned. So even then though, yeah, that's what I can really think about it. So today for this video is about the fact that we're about to continue exploring through Chaos Island, and hopefully we'll get ourselves the first Chaos Emerald on this island. So, but then again though, sometimes it takes a while to get into the forms of one island to the other, because as I said this before, it's about the fact that this place is going to be filled to the brim with a lot of islands to hop into. Like, again, you have to use the rail grind to able to actually go from one place to the other. So yeah, you probably get the idea, and you have to able to get used to it at first glance, especially because, well, you're just able to hope for the best and able to actually just try to make your way to the next point and what have you. So, anyways though, so a few things we want to explain for this point today, and that is that, well, today's date is of course the 21st of June today, in this case in 2023 today, and I'm happy to report about the fact that we got ourselves the forms of the second Nintendo Direct, which it already did happen for about 2 hours ago, because unfortunately though, I don't think I can probably mention about it today, but I'm sure enough I'll let Pac-Man will mention more about it until when he goes back onto Pac-Man World Repack, and especially noticeable for myself included, for the sake of the forms of Sonic Frontiers, assuming of course about the fact that it already happened, as I said before, 2 hours ago, and basically it features the forms of some game information, and it runs for about 40 minutes runtime, similar to the forms of how it does on the past Nintendo Directs since February. So yeah, it's been like roughly 4 months since the previous Nintendo Direct, but hey, better late than never I suppose, especially notable after the events of not only the Mario movie has finally came out, but also with the forms of The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, and some other games worth noting for as well. But either way though, but I'm sure it does manage able to mention more details about the forms of Pikmin 4, but then again though, I'll let Pac-Man were able to mention more details about that until, you know, Pac-Man World Repack. So, potentially speaking though, is about the fact that Pac-Man is actually getting very close towards the end of the game right now, because I'm sure enough he's now moved on to the final world in the game, which appears to be by the forms of Boss Mansion area. So yeah, I still have no idea why they come up with that particular name for as a world, but either way though, that'll be a topic for later. So but either way though, so yeah, I would have liked able to explain something else for that matter though, because well, we somehow finally received the first Chaos Emerald in Chaos Island.
What will you do?
The best I can.
So of course, once again we're able to come across into the next Titan, so as a result, once again we're about to get chased, except this time we're actually going to be taking a bit of a nice path trip with Squid itself. So as a result, it's been a very long while since we actually stumbled across into Squid Guardian himself, because obviously about the fact that obviously we still need to get away from that particular Titan, as you probably already know. So, I feel like out of all the actual chase sequence in Journey Forms of Sonic Frontiers, I think this one is definitely a little bit harder than the forms of how it does it on the other two islands. Or generally speaking, when it comes to the forms of in the first Titan, that obviously you have to homing attack into him, and that's pretty much about it. Whilst compared to the forms of how it does it for Wyvern, that you're about able to dodge a lot of missiles. Whilst in here though, it's about the fact that you also need to dodge projectiles. However, you need to keep up, because obviously, as soon as when that road decides to able to go ahead and disappears like that, basically you have to start all over again. So, yeah, it's definitely a little bit harder than the forms of how it does it on the 3 of those chase sequences as far as this is concerned, or perhaps even maybe the first encounters with the Titan segments or something like that. So, but I digress. So, yeah, as a result of that kind of stuff, though, it's about the fact that, again, as I mentioned this before, that unfortunately, though, it doesn't seem it's going to be possible to able to mention about the forms of certain announcements they have, for the sake of the forms of the Nintendo Direct, when it comes to, like, announcements they brings us into. In fact, let me know in the comments down below to see what they are, especially noticeable because, well, I just want to appreciate about that. Especially noticeable about the fact that I get the strong sense of feeling is about the fact that I think if I do remember, is that pretty similar to the forms of how it does it back in September last year. In some cases, my least favorite Nintendo Direct announcement because obviously too much farming simulators. So as a result of that kind of stuff, that was about the fact that it does take place in 3 PM during the course of in the UK time. So as a result of that kind of stuff though, except the fact that it doesn't take place on Tuesday, so it usually takes place in during today, which is Wednesday. So because of that though, I was very happy about it. And to make matters even better, is that unlike the forms of how it does it in last year, in 2022, that we did come across into ourselves 2 different types of presentations of Nintendo Direct during the forms of in June, which there are Xenoblade Chronicles 3 Direct, as well as the forms of the Partner Showcase. So far, no Partner Showcase taking place, which I'll admit though right away, I fully appreciate about that particular presentation announcements as far as that's been concerned with, so. But that's the way I feel about it, especially noticeable because, well, at the very least we don't have to worry about the Nintendo Direct Mini Partner Showcases anytime soon, so.
So, impressive, right?
Within expected parameters.
Okay, so let's go and explore for some new sections for the sake of the forms of Chaos Island, and exponentially we're able to try to find some more Chaos Emeralds before we're able to take on the 3rd Titan. So generally speaking, this is our 3rd time collecting Chaos Emeralds for the sake of the forms of Sonic Frontier so far. Because as far as I'm aware, because obviously we need to become Super Form, what I thought was a little bit interesting is about the fact that, well, it's kind of a bummer at the same time, is that depending on what costumes you'll be wearing, basically though is about the fact that if you turn into Super Sonic, it goes back by default. So, kind of a bummer though, especially I would love to see by the forms of the Super Sonic, Sonic Adventure 2 style. Like, even then though, that would be kind of cool, but unfortunately though, that does not seem the case. So, oh well, no big deal, I guess, but either way. Now, in addition about the fact that with the most recent Nintendo Direct has came out today, but also during around that time as a perfect opportunity about the fact that that's the reason why we finally got ourselves our June Nintendo Direct just today, and that is about the fact that recently during around exactly the same time is that happy 10th anniversary of the release of Monsters University, specifically in the American version, because I know for a fact that back in the day, in 2013, we still have to wait for about a month later before it actually comes out, roughly the exact same time as in the UK's release of Mario Luigi Dream Team Brothers, as far as I'm aware. So, but either way though, whenever I look back on the forms of Monsters University, a prequel to Monsters Inc., I do think it's a pretty good time in my opinion, although it does have some flaws for sure, but regardless of such though, I do still manage to enjoy it, especially noticeable after looking back on it though, back in 2013, and I do remember that despite I haven't exactly seen it in day one, but that wasn't until for later on though that me and Tiana did somehow manage to able to went to see the movie for the first time back in 2013, of course, alongside with the films of well, as I say, Rainbow Dash and Pinkie Pie and all that stuff, because well, them two are also into Monsters Inc. Series, as a matter of fact. So anyway though, so yeah, let me know in the comments down below for the question of the day. Yeah, what do you guys think about the films of Monsters University after 10 years since when it first came out, specifically the America's release? So because of that though, I'd like to hear your thoughts, especially notable because, well, I still managed to enjoy the film even to this day, even after 10 years since when it first came out, as I said before, so... But I digress. So, another thing I should probably explain about this as well, is that you guys even know about the fact that there's a game called Home Sheep Home Farmageddon, which appears to be based off of one of those Shaun the Sheep movie tie-in games, or something related to that. To be more specifically, it's like a 2D side-scrolling puzzle game or something like that. Well, apparently though, the Nintendo Switch version is no longer an exclusive for that game. So, what I found out is that about a month ago, that the Xbox consoles, alongside with the PlayStation systems, is also getting a game as well, during about a month ago. So, yeah, it's kind of strange. But either way, that's for a topic for a later time. So, and what I thought was a little bit cooler is that, potentially speaking, is about the fact that you guys even know about the fact that, in addition about the fact that we're about to be getting Super Silver during the course of the forms of Sonic Forces Speed Battle. Well, as it turns out that recently, I'm very appreciative about that, and that is about the fact that at some point by the end of this week, I'm about to able to try to get myself Super Silver in Sonic Dash. And as a result, yeah, I'm really looking forward to able to try to unlocking, well, Super Silver. And as a result, the last time we actually played as Super Silver, and that's what appears to be back on Sonic 06. So, yeah, very long time. So, yeah, that's not much else I can think about it. So, anyways though, speaking of which though, is about the fact that when it comes to Sonic Dash as a game itself, recently I have finally managed to able to complete the whole entire construction parts, and because of that though, it honestly did took me about almost 9 years since whenever I finally managed to get the actual thing constructed. So, yeah, that seems pretty cool and pretty substantial at the same time, I might add, especially because concerning about that particular point where I do need to farm some more of those gems, as well as the forms of red star rings, if I want to able to put up with the actual construction part a lot faster, and anything else to be more specific. I mean, honestly, it did took me about a couple of hours to able to actually just to get this process going, so, but even then, no, that's as far as I can think about it, so, yeah. And there are some unfortunate news I would like to discuss upon this. And that is about the fact that, unfortunately though, is about the fact that not only does Americas get frustrated with the forms of that particular Sonic Origins Plus situation, with that particular, the rest of the content is locked out behind the download code. Well, unfortunately though, that in addition about the fact that not only is it going to affect on the UK version as well, but sadly, as far as I've noticed, it's about the fact that it contains the expiry date until 2033, so that's roughly 10 years time. And I was like, oh my god, are you serious? Like, I know for a fact that it's very annoying and pretty inconsistent, but at the very least, potentially speaking, it's about the fact that you can still able to get the DLC thing for its digital stores, but either way, it's just maddening. Especially noticeable because concerning about that fact where I was really looking forward to able to try out, you know, Knuckles as a playable character in Sonic CD, and on top of that, playing as classic Amy for the first time. And as a result, because obviously the last time we actually play as 2D Amy is obviously in Sonic Advance 3, because I know for a fact that she wasn't playable in Sonic Rivals because she turns into a card thanks to Dr. Eggman with a special camera device. So, but either way though, that's saying something, so. But I digress. Oh yeah, there's another thing I should probably explain about this as well. is that, potentially speaking, is about the fact that I actually got very lucky at this point today as well. That is that, yes, I did somehow manage to receive some more rewards thanks to the forms of the stupid tier system. Now, I know about the fact I keep on about with the forms of the stupid tier system in the past, but I will admit though right away, I did somehow manage to receive not only Waluigi Mii Racing Suit, but also with the forms of Waluigi Racer Mark II card parts, and as a result, I'm very appreciative about that, especially noticeable because thankfully certain skills of mine actually got slightly improved, well, not exactly for its full 100% capacity, because mind you, I still got screwed over by the controls and all that stuff, but still, I just keep on complaining about that multiple times, so... But either way, that's what I can really say about this, I guess. So, but either way though, and also short things worth noting for is about the fact that much like the forms of how it does it on the other videos of Sonic Frontiers so far in our channel, I apologize for that particular, you know, the whole process of trying to get this video running, because obviously about the fact that our laptop is still lacking and all that stuff, but potentially speaking though, it still works just fine still, but it's just that it's almost about to get clocked out at this point, especially it's almost going to be start running at the speed of molasses, especially noticeable that, again, every time whenever I was trying to record something onto my commentary, based off from, you know, best quality ever, then it tends able to drop the lag, and yeah, it's very annoyingly consistent, so... Oh yeah, there's also another thing I should probably explain about this as well, I guess. Well, happy 15th anniversary of the release of Mario Super Sluggers for the Nintendo Wii, specifically the Japanese release. So, yeah, I can't believe it's been about 15 years ago since when Mario Super Sluggers has first came out in Japan, despite the fact that we've never actually got the game in the UK and Australian versions, just because... Obviously for multiple reasons, is that first of all because of Mario Superstar Baseball didn't sell very well during the forms of in the UK as well as Australian countries, because obviously between both the UK and Australia we've never get a chance to play baseball, because unlike Japan and America, it's actually a lot popular when it comes to that particular sport. So understandably so, but either way though, that might be saying something, I guess. Which I'm sure that both Mario and Luigi have both already mentioned about this or something like that. But next thing you know is about the fact that that's always going to be the case, I guess. So... But yeah, aside from all that stuff though, that's as far as I can say about this. But again, I would have liked able to mention about the exciting part, which is of course the Nintendo Direct announcements they've shown us. But then again, I'll let Pac-Man or me were able to actually tell you what, I'll let Pac-Man were able to mention about the first half of the actual topic, and I'll mention about this the second half of that particular topic, especially noticeable because, well, it's a good thing about the fact that we're not getting a partner showcase again after the events of the shocking drop for the sake of the forms of last year. Well, don't get me wrong, I still managed able to enjoy the latest partner showcase back in 2022, because obviously they've shown us some more gameplay footage of Sonic Frontiers, as well as the forms of Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope, and especially noticeable with the forms of the new Mega Man compilation game, and especially noticeable with Pac-Man World Repack. So because of that though, who knows, maybe they'll be able to decide to do Pac-Man World 2 Repack. I mean, that'll be interesting in the future, but the only drawback I just get the feeling from it is that it might actually only be exclusive to next generation of consoles, at least as far as I can tell, like PlayStation 5 or Xbox Series X, but either way though, it's hard to tell for this point, because I know for a fact that we've already just got the remake of the first Pac-Man World, so... But either way, aside from that, that's as far as I can say about the forms of that particular topic at this point, but... Either way, enough about that. So yeah, we're about to able to go in and continuously trying to explore certain spots here and there, and exponentially speaking though is about the fact that, well, trust me about the fact that this particular island might take a bit longer compared to the forms of how it does on the previous two islands, because again, it's going to be a lot of island hopping, which, kind of thinking about it, it does kind of reminds me of a similar vibe as the forms of, let's just say, Warriors Battle Canyon and Mystery Land in both Mario Party 1 and Mario Party 2 respectively. Well, I honestly have no idea why I somehow mentioned about that, especially noticeable because despite the fact that we're not going through space to space, like the also for the actual game board. So, relatively speaking, that's as far as I can talk about, so... And, yeah, now we've actually got ourselves the portal gear, so just in case we can able to actually access to the next, cyberspace segment, so... But, yeah. That's as far as I can think about it. Oh yeah, there's another thing I should probably explain about this as well, is that, generally speaking, is about the fact that I believe that, there's a film called, Sinbad, and in some cases though, I think it's Sinbad, The Legend of the Seven Seas or something like that, which appears to be the last DreamWorks 2D traditional animated film. And as a result about the fact that I do know for one thing in mind, is that until specifically on the 2nd of July, basically that film will potentially become 20 years old during that time, which I think it's probably best if we let both Mario and Luigi were able to mention more about that particular topic, because obviously about the fact that we not actually got into the forms of July just yet. So, because, well, the obviously a good thing about this is though, is about the fact that, well, I'm happy to report there won't be any bare bones game releases during the forms within the second half of the year at long last, because obviously about the fact that ever since in May, or the beginning of June, I was really begging if Nintendo were able to actually announce something for that matter, but then it wasn't until by the end of the month that we finally got something.
Oh,
What's that?
I think it's an environmental analyzer. All of the ancient technology is networked to cyberspace. If I can get it back online, we can maybe get some answers. Whoa!
What? So, that was a thing.
Whatever assaulted the island sure packed a punch. That was on par with Dark Gaia, easy.
I feel like we need to find the emeralds pronto.
Agreed. We'll rendezvous later.
Okay, so it looks like one of those devices we can able to actually now access to, but we'll save that for later, because obviously we need to take care of other stuff first. Specifically, we need to able to collect some more of those vault keys. In addition to that, we need to able to do a lot of exploration, so just in case we're able to stumble across into more, you know, the usual challenges and all that stuff, and able to actually bump into most of those Cocos, which, kind of thinking about it though, those Cocos also does reminds me of the forms of those Koroks, for the sake of the forms of not only from The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, but also with the forms of The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom as well. However, unlike the forms of how it does with those Koroks, that basically about the fact you need to find all of them if you really want to fully 100% everything in the game. Whilst in here though, there are plentiful of those Cocos, which thankfully you don't need to collect them all. You have to collect some of them until you're able to level up your, not only your speed capacity, but also with the rings capacity count as well. But either way though, we'll do that for later time, because somehow we found ourselves our next cyberspace transporter that we can able to hop into. And this is, without a doubt, is one of the worst cyberspace segments in the entire game, at least in my opinion. Especially because, as you can tell, about the fact that we're going back into the Green Hill Zone environment once again, except now, we need to get a lot of utilize the forms of a drifting mechanic. And let me tell you, the drifting system, it blows. Like, it really blows. Like, for instance, about the fact that unlike in, not only in Sonic Unleashed, but also with Sonic Generations and Sonic Colors as well, that basically you have to hold down the button while at the same time try to tilt the control stick or something like that, to be able to perform a drift while going for these little sharp curves and stuff like that. In here though, there is no dedicated button to able to drift, so instead, that as soon as you see that prop on the actual analog stick movements or something like that, as you saw in the middle portion, basically though is about the fact that that's essentially you need to learn the drift. And let me tell you, drifting in this stage honestly sucks. Like, as a result, in addition to that, I think the actual level environment is actually based off from, well, I know for a fact that already that we're still experiencing Green Hill Zone again, but as a result, the level layout is actually based off from Sonic Unleashed, specifically Missouri Daytime Stage Act 2, although except the fact you don't go through lap to lap, so instead about the fact that it's more likely like a combination of both laps or something. Mind you, I barely remember this stage, especially noticeable because I can totally see why a lot of people seem to think that this is one of the worst cyberspace segments in the entire game, just because of how awkward the drifting mechanics are. In addition to that though, is about the fact that don't expect able to actually just to realize that I'm about to replay this level so many times, especially because not only for its ring count I have to reach, but also with the forms of the red star ring locations, and especially noticeable with the S rank time. So because of that though, yeah, this stage sucks. This stage honestly just feels incredibly underwhelming, especially noticeable because again, it's so awkward to drift along, and yeah, you probably get the picture about what this is going on, especially because, well, again, it's just, I just really wish that they have a dedicated drifting. I mean, it's nice to see the drifting returns after the events of Sonic Generations, but that again though, it just feels very awkward to utilize with. And to make matters even worse, is that I'm pretty sure the momentum is actually based off from Sonic Forces, so as a result, there are a couple of times about the fact that if you don't drift at all, basically you will fall off instantly throughout the majority of the stage. Although luckily there are checkpoints, but it's just about the fact that, well, and also not to mention though, there's no time limit this time around, so I guess that's a good thing. But it's just about the fact that I honestly want to go back to Sonic Unleashed again, to be more specifically for Missouri Daytime Act 2 stage, as far as this is concerned. Especially notable because, well, again, some of those level layouts are very similar to each other, except with some slight alterations, but either way though, still, I think this is the only stage I'm not going to go back into it ever again. Especially that it's kind of hard to say this, but relatively speaking, as soon as you beat the game once, basically though, you would be able to actually access to one of those menu challenges you can able to play around with, specifically when you go onto the title screen, and basically there are two different types of challenges you can able to participate on. Like for instance, there's the Titan boss challenges, you can able to compete for time trials and stuff like that. In addition to that, there's also the cyberspace time attack challenges as well. And let me tell you, it's gonna be pretty impossible for me to do those, especially because you know why I complain about the fact that the actual momentum as well as the boost system in this game just feels a bit nerfed from this game compared to the forms of how it does it in not only in Sonic Unleashed but also Sonic Colors and Sonic Generations, because honestly I tend to able to replay Sonic Generations back in my own time, especially because I just loved able to compete in fastest times with even best score runs as a result, at least for me anyway. So, and there's our next Chaos Emerald we can able to actually access to in this Chaos Emerald Vault. And kind of thinking about it, I think it's potentially the last Chaos Emerald Vault during the course of the forms of Chaos Island so far, because as a result, much like the other two islands, is that we'll get the green emerald as well as the forms of the actual light blue emerald during the forms of one of those mission objectives we can able to do. So I think for the most part, for certain mission objectives will be self-explanatory in Chaos Island. It's just a way of how the fact that of the actual method to able to actually reach from one place to the other, it just feels a bit kind of longish to go through. So, but either way though. So, I guess that's all I can really say about for the specific topic at this point, guys. Although, again, as I mentioned this before, we'll mention more about the forms of Nintendo Direct announcements during the course of the forms of, you know what I'm saying, for the sake of, you know, Sonic Frontiers, alongside with the forms of Pac-Man World Repack. So just to ensure about the fact that we can able to discuss upon it. So it's even weirder about the fact that, well, I'm not exactly sure if the September Direct will be possible after the June Direct, but then again, no, we'll have to wait and find out. Especially noticeable because, you know, we've already got the June Summer Direct, so that should be a positive note. Especially because, well, everyone has been waiting for it for about 4 months, so... But either way, that's more like it, I guess. Especially noticeable, I think, suffice to say, that pretty much wraps up everything for the sake of gaming announcements during the course of the summer season. And as a result, despite with ups and downs, but either way though, that I suppose is actually going to get a lot more better as far as the later months to come. Especially noticeable because, well, after all, we've already got Sonic Superstars, which should be on its way. So even then, I'm still pretty excited about it. Now, as far as I'm aware, when it comes to Sonic Superstars, is that I think if I recall correctly, during the forms of the actual demo gameplay, whenever I saw it anyway, is that for whatever reason, they don't show us a life counter. I think my guess is that when a game is finally gets its release, I'm guessing when a game finally comes out, it might contain a life counter, something very similar to the forms of how it does it since in Sonic Mania, or something like that. But then again, time will tell, especially noticeable that about the fact that we're still on, again, the first half of the year so far. So we're getting very close to the second half of the year. And what's even better is about the fact that now we've actually got the Nintendo Direct out of the way, we can pretty much expect about the fact that Nintendo Gamescom will definitely going to take place. So as a result, it will show us some more gameplay footage and all that stuff. And especially noticeable with the forms of Nintendo Live, during the forms of, title, I think is what it says anyway, despite the fact that it's been a very long while since I actually mentioned that particular Nintendo event coming up during the forms of in September, but then again though, that's just the way I feel about it, I guess. So, but still, I'm very, very, very excited to be able to actually discuss on this particular topic of Nintendo Direct, but unfortunately not today, sadly, because still that can wait, But for the time being, about the fact that there's another topic I would like to say, that is about the fact that I somehow managed able to got back into Sonic Mega Collection Plus recently on the PlayStation 2 and Xbox versions, because obviously with this ridiculous requirement able to unlock certain bonus games and stuff like that, and let me tell you, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of like time-consuming process, especially noticeable because again, that you have to play several games multiple times, and depending if I want to able to unlock something, like I know for a fact that I've already unlocked the Sonic 3 and Knuckles game on the Xbox version of Sonic Mega Collection Plus. Mind you, I still haven't unlocked that on my PlayStation 2 version, so either way though, despite that on the other hand, that I guess it's kind of worth it if you do manage to able to unlock Sonic 3 and Knuckles as it is, because obviously that was the best version of Sonic 3 and Knuckles, especially noticeable because it contains the forms of not only certain original music for the likes of, you know, Carnival Night and Ice Cap and Launch Bay Zones, because obviously it involves around Michael Jackson himself. And as a result of that kind of stuff, though, is about the fact that, gee, I get the horrible feeling about the fact that I don't think it actually contains a patch to able to actually have original OST music during the forms of Sonic Origins Plus version of certain music as far as I'm aware, sadly, just because of the licensing issues, so yeah, it does seem it kind of feels like a massive bombshell as far as not only in terms of the forms of most of the DLC, when if you get the game physically, is locked out behind a digital code, but also about the fact that, well, it just feels kind of sad though. Like, as a result of that kind of stuff though, I just really wish if they were able to actually make all in one particular combo pack, just like what they did for Sonic Mania Plus back in 2018, for about roughly 5 years ago. I mean, geez, Sega, you could have done that a lot better, but apparently you did screw it up. Especially noticeable because everyone else is actually looking forward to able to getting the game physically, but again, it's just for like, I don't know, too much space storage or something. Well, it's hard to say honestly, because I know for a fact that it's a bit disappointing to see that the digital code exists, which as a result, not only that usually happens on North America, but also in our UK country as well, whatever I did looked upon that. Especially it's bad enough about the fact that, well, it's so stupid. Why did Sega do that? But either way though, I'm sure they'll learn that lesson next time, and so God knows if they'll make a 3D compilation game next time, but again, it's very difficult to tell, especially because, well, after all, the positives on the other hand is that we got the Nintendo Direct, so that's all that matters, right? Especially noticeable because, for the love of God, they put up too many rumors, especially noticeable for leaks, during the course of in the beginning of June, before the actual Direct exists. So as a result of that kind of stuff though, despite the fact I still basically give up on trusting rumors and leaks at this point, just because they're trying to attempt to trick you. So, especially noticeable because, relatively speaking though, it's just a way of how, you know, rumors attempt to able to trick your feelings and stuff like that. So, which I think I honestly admitted though, I'm still not a big fan of rumors because, well, they're just there. But I digress. So, I guess, for the most part, oh yeah, there's another thing I should probably explain about this as well, is that by that time, until next Tuesday, roughly, that Super Smash Bros. Brawl, for those of you who lived in the UK, is expected to become 15 years old, until specifically in 6 days' time. So I would love to be able to celebrate that until next Tuesday, and even look back on it though. Well, I'm surprised about the fact that some other toys has already mentioned about that in the past. To be more specifically, since in January in a Japanese version, alongside with the US version back in March. So as a result of that kind of stuff though, maybe I can probably play that game on my own time for a bit, just to look back on it though, and just to see how I feel about it after the 15 years since when it first came out. So as a result, despite the fact that unfortunately I've decided to take a break on Super Smash Bros. For quite some time, especially noticeable because at this point in time I'm playing some other games just to chill out for a bit, like for instance, you know, with Sonic Frontiers, as I'm still playing right now, and especially noticeable with the forms of the majority of the Nintendo Switch games I haven't exactly completed yet, like specifically with, you know what I'm saying, with The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, as well as The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Well, I did manage to be able to still beat the actual story on Breath of the Wild, but hopefully I'll try my best to able to go for a 400% completion on Breath of the Wild. So wish me luck when it comes to not only for the Breath of the Wild game, but also with Tears of the Kingdom as well, because trust me, those two games are gonna get super lengthy, especially noticeable because, gee, no wonder why it has so much gigabyte storage when if you're trying to download those games prospectively for its digital formats. So, but seriously, that's way too big for my part, especially compared to the forms of how it does it in Mortal Kombat 1, that basically it just almost took up the entire space storage. But if you do manage to own yourselves the Switch version of Mortal Kombat 1, I mean, that's just still insane. Although, the good news about the forms of Mortal Kombat 1, specifically the newest game in the series, that basically we're about to be able to expecting to get guest characters in the future, so that brings us some high expectations, I must admit. So, I was really expecting about the fact that maybe Deadpool will be on here, or some people seem to say about the fact that they want Bayonetta to be in the game, but it's very difficult to tell, especially noticeable because I think we've only just got roughly about 3 months left until the game actually comes out for PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X, and especially with Nintendo Switch. So, yeah, that can wait for that particular topic, especially because, well, we're still in June already, so. But anyway, enough about that, so I guess there's not much else to say, honestly, because, well, I've already explained quite a lot of things, so I guess that's a good thing, especially noticeable because, well, I just essentially was able to know about the fact that despite, you know, the temperature is still, well, I would say it's kind of warm today. Well, certainly it's not extreme heat or anything else like that just yet until, well, for some time now, especially noticeable because as far as what Pac-Man has already mentioned about, since in yesterday, about the fact that we actually come across into a thunderstorm during the other day, and my god, it's actually a lot louder than I thought it was. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm the bravest hedgehog out of them all, so I expect for Able to be, well, fearless, I guess. Especially just like Rainbow Dash, that between both me and Rainbow Dash are brave, so.
I analyzed the cyberspace portal the last time you were accessing it. While you were online, it opened up a flood of data. It was way too much to process, but I did get a glimpse of the Ancients' personal data.
Oh, so... what, you know all their birthdays now?
Much more than that. Sonic, it was their very essences. Their hopes, their dreams, everything that made them what they were. Do you see the correlation?
Sounds a lot like what happened to you, Amy, and Knuckles. I mean, I'm glad you're all intact, but why were you all uploaded like that?
Also, there's one thing I totally forgot to mention about, and that is about the fact that if you're probably wondering, if you go into a complete standstill while you're able to actually decide able to look at the surroundings, then if you're probably wondering how come Sonic just somehow goes into this body in motion to saying about the fact that my head hurts or something, well, I suppose for that particular plot significance, that will be wait until for later, because I think something is about to happen, assuming of course if Sonic managed able to did a lot of stuff, not only for the sake of defaults of the previous 2 islands as we've already done, but also eventually we will able to wrap things up for everything, in terms of defaults of Chaos Island, mainly probably by the end of this month, if potentially so. But either way, though, that'll be a topic for later. So as you can tell, we're about to be doing with, well, let's just say we'll do one more cyberspace level for this point today. But I'm sure enough, though, we'll tackle the rest of it, though, until specifically later on. So, yeah, something tells me this particular level layout, even though despite the fact that we're going back to Green Hill Zone again, seriously, there's gonna be a lot of ramps and repeats when it comes to the forms of level themes and all that stuff. Especially it's bad enough there's only 4 of them so far. So I just really wish if they were able to actually bring us like, I don't know, a throwback nostalgia memory for the sake of the forms of one of those levels in Sonic Adventure, or Sonic Adventure 2, or even especially notable for Sonic Heroes, Sonic 06, as well as Sonic Unleashed, Sonic Colors. I don't think they'll do one for Sonic Generations, because obviously they've already managed to get a lot of celebration from Sonic's past, or maybe potentially they're able to bring one of the level themes based off from Sonic Lost World, or generally Sonic Forces, except with Sonic Boom series, because that continuity is actually a little bit different, so. But that's the way I feel about it. So anyway, yeah, something tells me with that particular level layout is obviously based off from, let's just say, Apato's Windmill Isle Act 3 from the likes of Sonic Unleashed, specifically daytime level, because obviously in order able to go and proceed to this stage, as you can tell, is that we need to get onto a lot of rail grindings, as you can tell. And while at it, you need to dodge a lot of those spikes and spike balls and all that stuff, so yeah, that's not much explanation for that particular cyberspace stage as far as this is concerned. And I'm pretty sure about the fact that, speaking of the cyberspace segments as far as this is concerned, I'm pretty sure we're now onto the halfway point in terms of completing every single cyberspace levels in this game, because as far as I'm aware, it's about the fact that after we finish up with this particular island, I'm pretty sure the next island will not be featured the cyberspace segment, but I'm pretty sure the one after that will contain the cyberspace transporters as far as this is concerned. But then again though, we're probably not going to mention more about it right now, because it might contain some spoiled heavy elements to it, so I don't think it's possible we can say this right now. So, anyway though, so yeah, there's another thing I should probably explain about this too, is that recently KevKing74, he basically now got up to 111 subscribers at this point. Especially noticeable because obviously he's still continued things on in Chapter 8 in Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door, and about no matter what though is about the fact that he's actually getting very close towards the end of the game. Now I'm sure enough though, because that game will take a lot more longer than any forms of how it does it on not only the original Paper Mario, I think anyway, but also with the forms of Super Paper Mario, because obviously Super Paper Mario, in terms of gameplay, it plays pretty differently, although it does have some RPG elements to it though, like the actual, well, let's just say the actual leveling up system. To be more specifically, it's based off from scoring system as opposed to experience points. So, but either way though, that's what I can say about it, I guess. So, and God knows about the fact that I don't think it's possible he might not do, not only Paper Mario Sticker Star, because it's the weakest entry in the series, and as far as I'm aware, I don't know if it's highly doubtful that he's going to be tackling through Color Splash or the Origami King, because I've knows about the fact he's not overly keen on modern Paper Mario games, which is understandably so, especially because it never felt quite the same or satisfying compared to the forms of how it does it in the first two Paper Mario games, because they are still pure classic in every way, especially because about the fact that a lot of people always remember those two games, including the third entry, Super Paper Mario, for quite some bits and bobs here and there. Well, I apologize for that commentary, it's a bit iffy at this point, because obviously I'm almost going to be extremely thirsty, so, and tell you what, once I finish that particular stage, then I guess it's about time for me to be able to have a lot of juice at this point, especially because, my god, I think the temperature is rising, so, and also not to mention though, I think I'm almost run out of time to able to actually just to like, I want to spend some time with Tiana and stuff, and even especially with Knuckles as well, but either way though, alongside with Tails as well, so we can able to go out somewhere, but either way though, that'll be a topic for later I guess, so. Although, it's kind of unfortunate about the fact that our holiday plan in August is cancelled due to, complications and stuff like that, or potentially speaking with all this, let's just say, power voltage problem, but either way though, because as a result, at least we have been to some place, during the course of it last year at the very least. Well, I wasn't the only one who got invited, because obviously, I'm pretty sure that, well, it's hard to say, because I know for a fact it's been quite a few months since we actually take a break on certain stuff, but either way, that'll be a topic for later. So with that being said, I think we should probably end things off at this point right here, so join me next time for more of Let's Play of Sonic Frontiers, and that is that we're about to still continue exploring through the forms of Chaos Island to do the usual stuff. So I'll see you guys until on Friday. Later, fellas.